Welcome to the 12 Dreamy Days of the Hero's Journey. This is Kelly Sullivan Walden, aka Dr. Dream. Today is day 10. This is all about the return with the elixir stage of the hero's journey. And I am joined by a most elixirish goddess. I've never said that word. I don't know that word exists on the planet, but it does now. She is an elixir. She embodies the joie de vivre, the joy, the success, what you want in life. She's got it all. This is the woman who's got it all. So she's perfect for this stage. And I'm talking about Christy Whitman behind her back, kind of in the third person. So I'm going to stop doing that and just say, hi, Christy.
Hi, Kelly. I'm so thrilled to be here with you. You know how much I love you. You are the go-to person when I have those dreams like, I got to get Kelly's take on this. So I just love you so much.
I love you and I love your dreams. And I so love when my community gets to connect with each other. Whenever I introduce you to somebody, like I just recently connected you with one of the heroes in this summit, Lisa Campion. And literally every time I talk to her, she's like, oh my God, I love Christy Whitman. Oh my God. I can't believe you introduced me to her like that. She's a life changer. Literally, and this is how it is every time I introduce you to anybody. So I'm so grateful to get to really bring you into my community again for, it's been a little bit. So it's about time. So for those who are unfamiliar with Christy Whitman and you've been hiding under a rock for the last bunch of years, let me tell you a little about her. Put on my spectacles so I can be very official.
Oh, you look so sexy, librarian.
Oh, E equals MC squared. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. How's that? So Christy Whitman, the woman with that lovely laugh, is a transformational leader, celebrity life coach, and the New York Times bestselling author of The Art of Having It All. She has appeared on the Today Show and the Morning Show, and her work has been featured in People Magazine, 17, Woman's Day, Hollywood Life, and Teen Vogue, among many others. Christy is the CEO and founder of Quantum Success Learning Academy and Quantum Success Coaching Academy. It's a 12-month law of attraction coaching certification program. Christy has helped thousands of people worldwide to achieve their goals through her empowerment seminars, speeches, and coaching sessions, not to mention her products. Christy's life-changing message reaches over 200,000 people a month. Lord have mercy, this woman is an influencer. For those of you who know what influencers are, Christy's one of them. She reaches 200,000 people a month, and her work has been promoted by and featured with esteemed authors such as luminaries like Marianne Williamson, our future president, 2020. Dr. Wayne Dyer. We know he's with us in the angelic realm, so we call him in today. Marcy Shimoff, Brian Tracy, Neil Donald Walsh, Abraham Hicks, and Louise Hay. And again, may she rest in peace. And we know they are not resting. I'm sure they're not resting.
Oh, they're working hard.
Working hard. And we're calling them in right now. So yeah, she lives in Arizona she just recently moved to Arizona from Canada with her husband, Frederick, and their two boys, Alexander and Maxim, her adorable boys. So Christy Whitman, thank you so much for joining us today on the 12 Dreamy Days of the Hero's Journey.
My absolute pleasure to share space with you, Kelly.
You're Christy, the Christmas present. So even whether you're watching this around the Christmas holidays or any time, this will be a gift for you. So you know a lot about the hero's journey, whether you've put it in that context or not. And you know something about being a hero, because I think every time you step out, every time you reach out with a new product, a new book, a new anything, there's risk involved. It takes heroism and a higher purpose. So my first introduction to you, I want to go back to when I first met you. I think
it was a long time ago.
Your first book, was it called Perfect Pictures?
That was a long time ago, Kelly. That was 17 years ago.
Do you know, oh my God, I can't even believe that. But do you know, and I got chills. So I'm just going to say this is your sister. Again, may she rest in peace. She was the inspiration for that book. And I talk about that book and I talk about the message of that all the time with the people in my world that have perfect pictures of how things are supposed to be, and they never quite measure up. And I tell them they got to get your book. So maybe you can start there and then we'll build up, because that was an amazing entry and impact on my life.
Absolutely. So my sister had committed suicide 20 years ago. And it was one of those things where we talk about the hero's journey, right? And that would have been something that easily could have taken me out. And I'm just so grateful of the timing of it, because I had just started a meditation practice and started really feeling connected. And it was really during that weekend, it was over Memorial Day weekend, where I went and did a teacher's training for this particular type of meditation that I now do. And during the healing process, we were learning how to create a healing space. I saw my sister come into the bubble. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday morning, Memorial Day. And just kept thinking about her and thinking about her and thinking about her. And when I walked into the door back from Oregon into Sacramento, I was living with my boyfriend at the time, who then became my husband, walked through the door. My mom called and told me that my sister took her life. And the time of death was about 8:15 in the morning. So she was literally in a healing space, ready to go. And grateful that I had that practice and that I had that ability to help her transition. But more importantly is that I made a decision right then and there, and it has served me well over these past 20 years, that because she chose what she chose, that wasn't going to affect my life. I was going to heal from this. I was going to go on and live my best life, because if she was my older sister, gosh, if she could do that, could I do that? Could I take my own life when I'm in a place of misery? And back then, I thank God I'm not the same person I was then, but I was very negative. I was very critical. I was very much like nothing was ever enough. I wasn't enough. No matter what I achieved, wasn't enough. Everything that came out of me was just not enough. And I was never satisfied with my life, with my body, with my money, anything. So it really became apparent that if she could do that, I could do that. And I don't want to do that. So that led me on a quest. And about 5 years later, after really working with one of the things that was really limiting my ability to have happiness, was I was always focused on what was wrong and bad. I was focused on the lack. And trying to be perfect, because in my family, you couldn't make mistakes. In my family, you had to look perfect, no matter how crazy and dysfunctional it was in my family's household. Out there, you needed to look perfect. And so, my mom would just do this training. Like I remember when we had this house, we bought this house and everything was like perfectly decorated and all that kind of stuff. She walked in the house and she's like, "It's really cute, but that light doesn't go with the decor of your house." And I'm like, how could you even, it was like, that's where her focus went.
Whoa.
Yeah. Whoa. And it was a moment for me. It was like, wow, that's how I was trained. Look for anything, scour the room and look for what's bad and wrong instead of what's right and good. And so that was a big healing point for me, to look at where do I do that in my life, and really started practicing. And that's how Perfect Pictures was born, because like all of my books, like all the programs I put out there, it's their assignments to me. I feel like I am a channel for the information. So one night when I was doing my meditation, I saw a book said Perfect Pictures. I'd never written a book before. That night I went to bed 1:05 in the morning, woke up with the voice, which I now have come to know as the Council of Light. But this voice was telling me the first sentence, the first paragraph, the first chapter, and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I got up and started writing it. And what was coming through me was, I was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm needing right now for my own journey past this Perfect Pictures. And I was already aware of it. I was already working with it. And then 7 nights in a row, same thing happened, 1:05 in the morning. And that started my journey to really being on peace and purpose and passion for what I do now as a coach and a healer and a writer and a speaker and now a channeler. I'm full on channeling. So it's been an evolution.
Wow. Are you really?
Yeah. You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
My son Maxim, who's my baby, which that's a whole nother hero's journey. He
Yes.
at 2 months of age, I know you know the story. 2 months of age was rushed to the hospital. He shouldn't have been alive, and that's a whole nother story we can get into. But I had to literally step up and be that shero again in my own hero story, and really focus on, what do I want in my life? What's the vision for this? Because that baby should not have been alive. He was a fighter. He was a pure miracle. And when everyone was wanting, well, why didn't the doctors find this? And I turned to my husband, I said, nobody with any fear energy, nobody with worry energy is going to be allowed in the hospital to see him. We are not going to speak, the two of us, of anything other than the vision that we're holding with Maxim back home, healthy, them growing up, traveling the world together, going to Disneyland, doing these fun things together as a family, you wrestling around with your boys, and my husband being the amazing man that he was, he goes, got it. Okay, got it. And we stayed vigilant in that, because circumstances and situations happen all the time that are contrast. Some are very extreme, some are little. It could be someone's rude, or you get in back of or in front of a bad driver. Excuse me. But how we deal with the contrast, that's really, where we become the hero in our own journey. But I got an assignment about a year ago with the Council of Light, and I was seeing Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and all these. I was getting a massage, Kelly.
It's so funny that I said that.
I was getting a massage, and who came to visit me was Debbie Ford, Wayne Dyer, and Louise Hay. And I literally had to pick up my head, and there was nobody there, but I'm like, it was so distinct. And the massage therapist was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I went back down, and they're talking to me, and I was just like, oh my God. And it was clearly distinct. It was amazing. So they are a part of this Council of Light. It's amazing. So they were telling me, I'm just seeing this, right? And I'm seeing this while I'm driving. I'm like, okay, I have to pull over, that I needed to create this sacred circle of light and start doing healings with people. So wow. I've been doing this for a few months, where every Monday we get on a call, and it's like they show up and I'm like, what do you got? Because I could see, I could hear, I could see things holographically where people's blocks are. I mean, it was just the communication. And in this one day, and why I brought up Maxim, it was September 17th, which is Maxim's birthday. So this happened a few months ago. And all of a sudden I'm hearing, it felt like 10 voices talking to me. And I'm like, I can't keep up. And I literally felt like me. I went like over my chair like this, but the recording showed different. And all of a sudden my voice changed, the cadence, my hands, I wasn't even moving. I mean, like, me, I'm like, Italian, and, talk with my hands more than my mouth. I was so stoic, and the wisdom that came out, I mean, everybody on the call was just crying, and they've been with me ever since. So,
Christy, that is so cool. Oh my God. I gotta experience some of this. So,
oh yes.
We'll have
to do that another time. Yeah, for sure.
You just have me in tears today. I mean, I'm just like, I'm trying to be cool and not ruin my makeup, but you so have touched me. And I want to go back to something. I want to go back to two things that you said. I really want to highlight them. In your book, Perfect Pictures, I expected it to be a photo book, like a coffee table book of like sunsets and ocean views. And it's like, wait, this isn't a picture book. Wait a minute. And then it was like, oh, it's because of her perfect pictures in her mind that life couldn't measure up to, that, oh my God, it's not reality that causes our suffering. It is always our commentary, our frame, our perfect picture of how it should be. And I know Byron Katie is the queen of saying, is that true? Can you know that it's true? I mean, but it's like, but just to hear the words. So literally I'll notice myself, if I'm feeling stressed about something, I'll hear the words perfect pictures in my head, and it stops me. And I'm like, okay. So God bless your sister for being a role model, and for having her hero's journey be exactly what it was, so that you could be this voice that perhaps she couldn't have been. But it's a story that needs to be told. And I am very close to my sisters, and I've got one in particular that I can relate. I feel like sometimes she's slippery, and I feel like so much of the work I've done has been related to my bond with her and wanting to find the tools that I think she would, so I feel like my connection with her is a big reason why I'm sitting here right now. And I know your sister and your connection is a big reason why you're sitting here. So props to the sisters,
Oh,
to the
absolutely.
heroes, whether they're here in this space, whether they're writing the books, or whether they're the ones encouraging the writers of the books, that we all play our part. And I also want to acknowledge, because as I do this series, I'm looking for what I'm calling #hero-hacks. And what I mean by that is, like, what can you grab onto? What can you latch onto when you've fallen off track? You need a hero hack to get you back on track. So this is a big hero's hack. This is like with capital letters. The notion of when you're going through something, and maybe not even when you're going through something, try this just even on an ordinary day, but especially when you're going through something, treat it like you're in the OR, the operating room, and you only allow the words to be spoken that are of the highest, and the people to surround you only be of the highest, and tell them, and even the doctors. And so I just want people to hear this, because I know so many people are going through something intense right now, or they know somebody and they're very close to somebody. So they need to know that there's power in what you did, Christy. And you pulled that out of your hat in a moment. I mean, you practiced what you preached in a big way in that moment. So I just want to acknowledge, I'm not even having to ask you the normal questions in this interview about what is a hero, how do you do it, because you're explaining it. But to simplify, what would you say in this moment is your definition of a hero?
Getting over, putting yourself deliberately in a space of what you want the outcome to happen. Really being able to know that you're deliberate, and that you, no matter what has presented in your life, to be able to say, okay, that's contrast. What am I going to do with this? How do I want the outcome to be? What do I want the end result to be? How do I want to feel in this? Because when I was in that hospital room and I got literally the diagnosis for Maxim, this is what the cardiologist says to us, just to give you an understanding. Most babies that have a transposition of the great artery, 85%, 90% of the cases are found in when the mom, when they do the ultrasound, they can see it. There's something going on with the heart. So that baby will have an operation within 1 day of life. If the baby does not make it past that, they usually detect it for maybe another 5% of the cases after the baby's born, because the baby's, breathing is labored, or they're blue or something. And so they can then detect it and tell. Most of the other babies, if if not detected in the first days of life, are found, dead in their bed, basically. And they think it's SIDS a lot of times. Maxim was 2 months old. 2 months old. It said they had never done this type of surgery on a baby that old ever. So he was at major, major risk. They didn't even want to just go in and do the surgery right away. They had to do a procedure because he had a hole between both of his valves, and the valve that closes when a baby takes their first couple of breaths never closed. So he was breathing from those 2 points. That's the only oxygen he was getting. And he was so determined to be here. And so I'm like, if he could fight like that, for 2 months, we're talking a week, a baby gone if they don't detect it. 2 months. If he can fight like that, I'm fighting for what the vision is. He's here for a reason, and I am not holding any other vision except for, and I cannot tell you the great joy that I get when I go see my husband and the 2 boys, Alex and Maxim, on the bed wrestling together. It brings me like elation, because it's like, this was what I visualized. That moment when my baby was in the ICU, literally they had cardboard on his arms so he couldn't live. That's how weak he was, like piece of cardboard.
Wow.
And he had all over him. And, going into when they call us, okay, today's the day that do the surgery. And we got there and he had already been anesthetized, and they had the dots of where they were going to cut him open. Kelly, for the first time in my life, I couldn't even speak. I just couldn't utter any words. My husband was the one that had to say to Maxim, "You've got this. We're here for you. We know you're going to come out of this." Everything he was saying is what I wanted to say. I could not open my mouth. And I was just like, okay, what are we going to do to stay positive? What are we going to do? So they said, there's no use for staying here. The surgery is going to take at least 4 hours. We went back home. We decorated our Christmas tree. We played with our other son, Alex. We sang Christmas songs. We sat there and talked about all the positive aspects of what was happening.
Wow.
We had to do what we had to do to continue to, we wouldn't let his mom go see him because she's too much worried.
Whoa.
That pissed her off, but it's okay because we didn't want that energy around.
Mama bear. You had to be the mama bear.
Absolutely. And we sat there, 45-minute drive to the hospital each way. And every time we were on our way there, every time we were on our way back, I'm like, let's talk about all the positive aspects. Well, we appreciate Maxim so much more for being here. You know, we grateful that we have one of the best hospitals in the country of Canada. We're grateful that we don't even have to pay for the surgery. We didn't have to pay a penny because we were in Canada. Wow. We're grateful that we have a nanny that's taking care of Alex so that he doesn't even know what's happening. He knows his brother's not there, but everything's still normal and natural for him. I mean, we went on and on and on. One of the worst things that could ever have happened to me in my life, I was able to find the positive aspects. That
in real time.
Yeah. That was me being my shero. I mean, and having to be that strength for my husband and my other son and my son that was going through what he went through. I had to be real clear in my energy. And how did I do that? I meditated. I worked with my coach because there were moments where it was a journey. Like I wrote about the whole thing in a book that's on called Maxim's Story. And it's just the chronicle of everything that happened. And there were moments like this, like they're telling me on a Wednesday, he's going home. And then on Friday morning, they're like, well, he has to have another surgery. And by the way, I'm in Montreal, Canada, where it's all French.
Oh.
So I'm trying to translate. I'm doing charades with the nurses, like, where is he right now? You know, when my husband wasn't there, obviously. So it wasn't the most ideal situation. But when I had those moments where I just needed to vent, you know, I vented. I had energy. I was frustrated. I was pissed off. You know, why?
Okay, that's a really good point. That while there is this like intent to be positive and like focusing on that, you're also simultaneously not squashing the intense emotions. So so say something about how you do that. How do you contextualize the stuff that you're spewing and know that it's not influencing this creation? So how do you do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So yes, my intent is, here's my vision, right? Here's my vision. This is what I want to feel. This is what I want to see, all of that. But in those moments, like I had a moment on a Friday morning, we're thinking we're bringing him home today. And the doctors are saying, we have to do another procedure. It was like, no, what? You were just handing me discharge papers the other day, right? So I went out to the car and I called my dad and my mom and I'm like, I'm so mad. You know, it's like, I'm so frustrated because it felt like a marathon. And there were other parents. Again,
1,000 marathons. This is an Iron Woman, Iron Man. This is not a normal marathon.
Well, there are other
marathon would have been nothing for you.
Yeah, well, there are other families that have their kids there, their child, their baby there for months, you know, months and months and months. And you know, so sometimes it's not good to compare yourself to others, but it was like, I would look at these parents that would have their baby in the hospital for 6 months with literally nothing changing for this child and be able to find the positive aspects. But back to, I knew there was energy inside of me. There was energy of frustration. There was energy of disappointment. There was energy of anger, right? And so in order for me not to take all that energy, because everything's energy, in order for me to take all that energy and then put it into my vision and to allow myself to be positive and aligned with Maxim, that whoosh of emotion had to be released. So I would go into my car and I would feel the anger. It takes about 90 seconds to process the energy of an emotion. If you really let yourself feel it, I like to think of it as you're in the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like a surfer. Mm-hmm. And here comes a wave, right? Yeah. It could be a big, bad wave, right? And you get on that wave and you just ride it. ride it until it goes all the way home. And so I would just feel the fiery anger, and I would just ride it until I got, felt like the Hulk was going to come out. And then it starts to dissipate, and I just would let it flow out. And when you process energy that way, you return back to natural alignment.
Right. That is so important. And you're thinking, what do you say? I mean, because I think this is so important, because I think people err on one side or the other. Sometimes they vent, and the venting can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then it becomes a part of their identity. And they're just venting. They're just being honest. They're just getting it out. What are they not doing that's not allowing that wave that just has it continue to recycle?
It's a difference between a mental, because if I would have just called my dad and went, I'm so pissed off, they're not letting me out, blah, blah, blah. I'm in my top region. I'm thinking, right?
Right.
Which thoughts create more emotions, and they create more an intensification of it. But most people don't release the emotion. So just by I'm creating more of an energy of anger, but I'm holding on to the anger.
Right.
We have to be with the anger. Let the anger communicate to us, inform us, be with us. And it's when you really feel it, that's when it starts to dissipate and releases.
This is such a novel concept. I think it's natural to the animals of the world, like in the way that I worked with a monk who traveled with Mother Teresa and taught people how to just shake, to like the animals do, to release trauma. And it would be ecstatic when she were done crying, screaming. It's like all of a sudden there's laughter and there's joy. But it's almost like it's terrifying to go to that core place of that emotion. I mean, that's its own hero's journey, that innermost belly of the whale. You're like, no, no, no. But there's magic in there. There's a releasing in there so that you can come out the other side with an elixir. So this is huge and so important, how you contextualize your venting. I like to call it hurls to pearls. Like I'm going to hurl, and I know I'm going to find a pearl in here somewhere. I don't know where it is yet, but and then, then there's like the pearls start forming. And usually the degree to which there is the hurl is the degree to which there is a pile of pearls on the other side. Wow. Okay. So this stage of the hero's journey is the road back. This is when you have, like, as if to look at the hero's journey from a macro perspective, from like we have many hero's journeys, and you've just shared with us several of them, from the perspective of going through an ordeal, coming out of it with wisdom. You're not done with the hero's journey once you've got the wisdom. It's about how do you now translate this and integrate this so that it can be shared. So this elixir isn't just for here. That would be fine. Some people are like, that's enough. I've been through enough. Thank you. You went through enough with Maximum. You went through enough with your sister and you found some wisdom. Let's just keep it that way. But in the sharing of it, it gets multiplied. So just say a little something about the courage that it takes to bring that wisdom to the world. And what does that take?
For me, I just speak from my own perspective. While I'm in something, I'm very, very private, right? I'm Scorpio. I'm like, But the minute, like I'm an inch out of it and I'm like, oh, got it. And the energy shifted. I'm like, let me share with you. Let me share what I did. Right. But while I'm in it, I'm like, this is mine. This is mine. This is my process. It's like, I don't want to share this. But as soon I'm like, this is what this did to me. This is how I felt. This is what I did to get out of it. This is the process I used. And now I'm willing to share it with whomever is wanting the information so that they too can, get past their cocoon phase, right? Or that painful phase.
And that is the hero's journey in a nutshell. Like, I'm being called to something. Oh, here we go. I'm in it. And there's an appropriate time to be completely in the belly of the whale. That's why I don't think the belly of the whale is a bad stage. I love it when if there's an opportunity to drop deep, deep, deep. And in that space, it's kind of like, leave me alone. airplane mode, airplane mode, airplane mode on the phone. And the world will keep spinning even if I'm not on it for a few minutes.
Right.
And then once there's that kernel to share, it's like, ooh, then it's like the healing, I think, intensifies. So you are the perfect representative of that. What were you going to say?
I was going to say what the council shared the other day with me when I was with a client, it was so profound. It was that even if we feel that someone has hurt us, someone has betrayed us, our business isn't going as well as we wanted to, financially we're in debt or we're having financial problems, the loss of a child, the loss of a parent, the loss of a pet, all of these things are happening as a gift for us, because in the relating with it, in the healing process of it, in the understanding, it's an opportunity for us to gather more of ourselves. Because in that betrayal, if you choose to go, no, that's not okay, and you feel your power come up, that's a gift, because now you feel more powerful. When you have that place where it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay my bills? I don't know what to do. That feeling of like, oh my God, I'm going to be ruined, right? And you still breathe and you still put one foot in front of the other and you get past it and you see that it was only temporary. Wow, the faith, the conviction, what you gained, the knowledge, the embodiment of yourself is all a gift. Everything that happens in the contrasting world is a gift for us to have clarity, but it's a gift for us to develop our skills, our talents, our own energy, our embodiment of who we really are. So if you look at all that as a gift, it's a gift. It's happening for us, not to us. It's not happening because we've been punished or we're bad. It's because this is our leading edge, because we're all here to fully embody the divine that we're co-creating with.
And this is how we do it. I mean, I think your stories that you've just shared, they land so deeply. I mean, the most painful aspects, I feel like in my listening, they cut me open so deep that the rest of the wisdom can penetrate like it wouldn't otherwise. If you hadn't been through what you'd been through, I'd think that you were just this beautiful, successful woman, like, cool, she's got it all, awesome. But you wouldn't have changed my life. But you have the ability, you have this magic wand, this ability to transform lives and to let it even go beyond you. Because this video and the other videos and other audios, other things that you've created get listened to by people that you'll never actually interact with, and they will live way beyond you, and they're going around the world. So it's like you just have to live through it and put the wisdom into something when you're ready for it. And then it's just so beautiful. So to wrap up, I've been playing this little game where I have the hero that I'm interviewing pick a hero's journey dream oracle card. So it becomes the message for everyone. So I'm just going to shuffle and I'm showing you the front of them, but whatever one you want to stop on. The one in front?
No, the one, move your other hand. That one.
The red one?
Second one, yeah.
That looks like you?
Uh-huh.
The one that looks like you?
That's
one. You, Christy Whitman. Rasuli snuck into your room and like painted you while you were like laying in bed. And there you go.
Like that one.
He's so sneaky. He's so sneaky. He gets around, that guy. So I'm going to just read a little bit. This one is, whoa, it'd help if I put
There's
these
the
on
sexy librarian again.
This is called The Quest. This is plunge boldly into life. So this is actually the second card. This is one of the major arcana. It says, plunge boldly into the thick of life and seize it where you will. It's always interesting. This is Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. The message is, your perception is most accurate when it's inside out. You've crossed the threshold from the ordinary world into the special world. It's here where the rules of the ego and polite society no longer apply. In the ordinary world, it was acceptable to run from the things that scared you. In the special world, you walk toward those things with open arms. In the ordinary world, it was acceptable to associate falling with failing. In the special world, it's an invitation to explore your depth. In the ordinary world, it was customary to pretend you don't have a shadow. In the special world, your shadow is where your greatest gifts arise. In the
I just said that.
I'm channeling you. Can we have a moment? Wayne Dyer, Debbie Ford, Louise Hay, what up, people?
Amazing.
I'm going to add to it for my council, Claire Wineland. I know you're up there. Teresa Swanson, Glenna Walden, all the people that I know that have passed this year. Oh my God, you guys are showing off. Okay.
Love it.
Your shadows where your greatest gifts arise. In the ordinary world, when something was bizarre, you disregarded it as irrelevant. In the special world, strangeness is an indicator of value and importance. In the ordinary world, it was acceptable to blame other people for your difficulties. In the special world, you take full responsibility for your experience. The dream symbol that we explore is falling, which is all about getting grounded and having a growth spurt and falling deeper into your soulful nature. The mantra for today is, I become more lucid when I choose to see the world from an inside out perspective.
I love it.
So let's all bring that home. That's part of the elixir that we're integrating and bringing home. And Christy Whitman, you ruined my makeup, but that's okay. I need to get double waterproof next time I talk to you because the waterproof wasn't strong enough to handle, and it's okay. I am so grateful for you and your wisdom. Thank you for being on so many versions of the heroes and Shiro's journey, and thank you for embodying it so beautifully and so generously. And thank you, Maxim, for having maximum growth and maximum love. And thank you to your sister. Thank you to all of the beings that have supported you on your journey. And let us pay it forward. Everyone who's watching, check out ChristyWhitman.com. And her latest book is, what is it?
Quantum Success. I was laughing because it's all about the inside out approach instead of the outside in approach. And it's exactly what the card said.
Right, exactly, which makes it easier. I think it's less terrifying to go, oh, I'm going to be success. You don't have to sabotage your success if you've embodied it fully. Then it's kind of like, oh, I planted tomatoes and here's tomatoes. Okay, that's not weird. That kind of makes sense.
Beautifully said, Kelly. Beautifully said. That beautiful.
I love you. You inspire me. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, everyone, go to ChristyWhitman.com and check out her latest book, Quantum Success, and all of her books, and even Perfect Pictures. Even though that was the first one, I'd say it set the foundation. And they've all been New York Times bestsellers, huge bestsellers. So get them all. Thank you, Christy. Go forth and multiply your blessings. Thank you so much. Everyone point at yourself and say, I'm a hero on a hero's journey, and this world is on my side. Mwah. Mwah. Peace out. Sweet dreams. Bye.